Hello and welcome to this week's video, and in this week's video I'm going to talk about how I've gone from playing one of these for about 35 years to now playing one of these. But first, coming up, a little example of me playing one of those like I've been playing for the last 35 years. A slightly irrelevant diversion, but I wanted to show you this because I'm playing a Gretsch, wearing a cowboy hat, wearing a t-shirt with a rude word on it. And finally, my transition complete to playing this. A bit of widdly diddly on that one. So if you saw my video last week, you may have seen my review of this. This is my new guitar. This is a 1959 custom shop Les Paul reissue. The finish is called Dirty Lemon, and I'm extremely pleased with it. And I've now done half a dozen or so gigs with it. And on the last gig, it felt like I'd been playing this type of guitar for years, which is really weird, as I haven't. This is the first one of these I've ever owned. My first Gibson, this one, my 335, I bought during lockdown, so I've had that, what, 3 or 4 years. And I really like that. I do kind of go to that guitar out of preference for certain gigs, but my heart of hearts, I'm a Strat man. My first proper guitars were all Strats, and really, if I had a choice of having to grab one guitar, I couldn't ever play any other electric guitar again, it would be my Strat, that one there, the 56 Closet Classic. But this may have changed my mind. But like any new guitar when you get, unless it's very similar to the previous one, I find that you kind of plug it in, expect it to work immediately. It takes a few gigs to get used to it. And now I've done, I think, about 6 gigs on this, and I've videoed all of them, and I thought it was interesting for myself and hopefully for other people to see how I've managed to sort of tweak my gear and make this work for me to the point where on the last gig I felt absolutely comfortable with this. Now, I've wanted one of these for quite a long time, but I was looking at them and I just had a feeling that if I wanted to get one of these, it was going to have to be a good one, because I know the cheaper ones can be heavy or they're chambered, and I wanted something that, this is light, this is about 8.5 pounds, and it really, there's something resonant and nice about it that I really like, which I think I would have struggled with on other Les Pauls. And I got that initially because it's hollow, you don't necessarily have that problem. And there's things about that I very much like, but this, I'm very pleased I sort of waited till I could get the one that I really wanted. Now, all of these clips I'm going to show you are played through my Milkman, which is the Milkman Pedal Steel Mini, which is a completely clean platform. You have to really turn it up loud to get any drive out of it. And for the type of gigs I do, really I can't rely on amp distortion, because I have to play at so many different volume levels, doing all kinds of different styles and requiring different amounts of gain, that having that fantastic kind of clean pedal platform really works. And I've got about 5 different drive options on my pedal board, and I will show you my pedal board when I get it out, and I'll film it on my phone and show you on each example how I kind of used it. But so every clip on here, with the exception of one, I'm using that amp with another one, which I'll come on to, I'm just using that amp. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I usually this sounds as a kind of control with my Strat, a bit of Jimi Hendrix here. So first of all, let's go to the pedal board. Let me show you what I'm using there. Here's my pedal board, still in the gig bag. I haven't taken it out and plugged it in because I don't think I can give a good example, because as I say, it's when on the gig it reacts differently to it does at home. But it basically, I go first into the EP Boost, which is an exotic pedal, and that is a kind of model of the Echoplex echo unit, tape echo unit, that lots of players used to plug through. Jimmy Page used to use it, even if they weren't using the echo, because they like the sound of the that the preamp kind of gave. It gives a sort of harmonic interest, and really I leave that on all the time, particularly with a Strat. Sometimes with the 335 or one of my EVH guitars I might not have it on because it gives too much gain, but as you said, I don't have, that's probably set there for the Les Paul. I'd probably have it a little bit higher for the Strat, so I'd probably have it on a quarter for the Strat. And for this video coming up, I think I just have that on, and then with the, for the Hendrixy thing, obviously I might have the wah-wah, that's the full tone deluxe wah. I use this as a Keeley modified blues driver, BD2. This is the trouble with looking at my pedals in the daylight. They're absolutely disgusting and filthy. These have done thousands of gigs, these, and luckily not gone wrong too often, but they are a bit dirty and I haven't cleaned it for a while. Anyway, and I think really for the Strat I would tend to have these kind of like that, and I'll come on to how I have it for the Les Paul. Anyway, back to the studio. So here we are, here's an example of how that sounds. Now I'm going to go back to a couple of weeks ago, and I've actually already shown this clip on one of my previous videos, but this was the very first solo I did on this guitar, and I panicked slightly because of course I didn't bother setting it up at home and trying it out. I just went out on the gig and did it like I always do. I like to jump in at the deep end and sort it out on the gig, because it never seems to be the same at home anyway, even if you do that. So I kicked it in at the start of the solo. I don't know if you noticed here, but I accidentally left the wah-wah pedal on, and then once I'd figured that out, there's a couple of points I switched something on, it's not right, so I'm bending down and I'm probably adding more level and less gain, because these are higher output, they can tend to be, the way I had the pedals set up, it can go a bit fizzy, which can be a nice fat sound with the Strat, the single coil's lower output. As soon as you go on this, it goes all distorted and fizzy, so I need to balance it, bring the level up, bring the drive down. So that's what I'm doing, and then I go, as the solo builds, I then kick in another drive, and that one's all set too quiet or fizzy or something, so you'll hear that I managed to compensate for that as well. So this is the kind of very first solo I played live on this guitar, and you could hear that even through this solo I'm trying to tweak the sound to get it right. Some walker. So moving on 2 weeks, in the interim, all of my gigs have been on acoustic guitar. I had loads of acoustic guitar gigs. I do solo acoustic guitar gigs with a looping pedal, which if you've seen my videos before, you'd have seen. So I didn't get a chance to use this for another 2 weeks, although I played it at home every day. And I'd kind of more got the hang of it. So check this solo. This is same venue, sort of the same band, same drummer actually, but different bass player, and we've got a second guitar, Terry Lewis, who plays with Mama's Gun, brilliant guitarist, really nice to play with him. Hopefully that will happen again soon. So 2 guitars instead of guitar and keys. So check this solo out. I think probably a similar setup. I've just managed to tweak the gains and stuff so it's not fizzy and sounding pretty good. This is finally, I think, this song. Now next, onto a gig with my trio. Now, you've already seen a clip from this. The Voodoo Child clip is from this. Now, what I tend to do on these trio gigs, and I'm probably going to have to start changing this round now, I like playing this one so much, but I tend to do the first set all on my Strat. We do sort of Hendrix stuff, Steve Ray Vaughan, the kind of things that really you can't do on one of these because it just wouldn't be right. So I do the first set on the Strat, which is what you've already seen, and then I swap over onto this guitar. And same thing, and especially in the venue, I can't really tweak it until I get going on the second set. And a bit of fiddling around and too much fizz. And I had a couple of other kind of technical issues, jumps in volume and stuff. I don't know if it was loose connections or just me panicking in the moment. But anyway, I'm not going to show all that, but I'm going to get to this point where I started to get the sound together. And I think I'm probably using... what I would tend to do is use the blues driver with the EP booster again. I think that's all I'm using here. So check this out. This is a kind of outro of All Right Now, something like that. And I'm going to show you this one because I've got an SL drive on my pedal board, which is my most recent addition, and that particular pedal, that's a kind of Marshall in a box, and it's got loads of gain. With this guitar particularly, I had to really back it off, but I think I'd done this before. I'd done a bit of finger tapping on the outro of this song, and it seemed to be just a bit silly, so I kicked on the SL drive in addition to the blues driver to give me more gain to make that finger tapping a bit easier. So I just thought I'd show you this because it's silly. The next gig, as you've already seen a clip from this, was a country gig. And really, we play a few country songs at the beginning, wear cowboy hats, and I've got that t-shirt that says country isn't a dirty word with the O starred out, so it looks like a dirty word. So we do that, and by the time we've kind of got halfway through, people believe that we're playing country, then we play the same old rubbish that we normally play. So because it was a country gig, really this wasn't the correct guitar. I should have taken my Telecaster, which I normally do, but because I wanted to play this, I took this one. And to kind of counterbalance that, I played my Gretsch on the first half, because I thought that's so country, that will baffle people into not realising I haven't got the right country guitar for the second set. Well, I'm going to show you a little bit of me playing the Gretsch. Now, with this, I played through 2 amps. I used my Milkman, but I've also got, which I've dug out of the garage, and I must do a video on this, it was an amp that I built from a kit. It's a valve amp. It's a, I think, 12 watt single, I don't even know what it is, I'll look into it when I do the video, but it was from a company called Torres, and I built the amp myself probably 20 years ago, and I used to think it sounded terrible, so I put it in the garage. I even nicked valves out of it to repair my other amps, like preamp valves. So I bought a new preamp valve and I tried it at home, and it sounds fantastic, particularly with this guitar. Since I've had this guitar, I went and got it and thought, oh, I wonder what that sounds like. It's a kind of tweed thing, maybe a bit more martially. Anyway, it's got no reverb, it's just a single channel amp, quite quiet. So I took that one with my switching box, which is here. So I had the 2 of them, and they work very well together. But I used it on my Gretsch to start with, and using that, because that's got quite high output pickups, I started to use different pedals on my board. But I'm going to show you what this sounds like first, so you can hear what the Gretsch sounds like through this 2 amp setup. So on the second set, I moved on to this. And what I have discovered with this is, this into a completely clean amp. I'm not overly keen on the sound, not like a Strat. A Strat, I think you can play completely clean. There's something about the attack on it really lends itself. This, because it's a fatter sound, I think it always needs a little bit of grit to break up. Through that, it doesn't get any from the amp, so I have to put a little bit on the pedal board. And what I discovered is, I'll go back to the pedal board here in a sec and show you this. So as I progressed with the Les Paul and worked out what I wanted to do, I kept this on. Now, I don't have it on for the 335 or the higher gain guitars, as I mentioned, but so the Les Paul, I still have it on because it definitely adds that little bit of grit, which I don't think I really like the totally clean sound into my Milkman with the Les Paul. Something about the transient of the guitar, it's harder with humbuckers than it is with a single coil, and having that seems to soften it, as does putting some compression on, which I will come to in a minute. So what I discovered is, partly through using the Gretsch, which is quite high output, this pedal, which is my second newest addition, this just adds the clean EQ, similar to on a Steel Strings Singer. It adds this EQ section, which I'll put the output where I want it, and I kind of have it, you know, the fat up there, clean just a little bit, and then the output to balance it, to make it sound right. So that works well for kind of clean strumming sound. It boosted the clean signal, and it adds compression, which kind of alters the transient as you hit the guitar. It kind of levels it out, and it gives that less fat clank that you get from a humbucker compared to a single coil. It makes it sound quite nice. And for then this second section, the one that I've got the thingy on, that gives you the actual overdrive, which is these bottom ones. And I'd have the gain on full because it's still not that much gain. Set the levels where I need it, and the filter about there, and that gives me a really nice kind of platform. I have it on that most of the time for the last 2 gigs, and it does add a little bit of compression as well, but it seems to even things out and sounds really nice. Can pretty much have it on all the time, depending on what you're doing. If it's a kind of, you want a bit of grit in the sound, then I'll have that one on. If I want it a totally clean sound for doing like a funky rhythm, I'd have that one on. And then for solos, I'd kick in the blues drive. And for a Strat, I tend to have them like that maybe. But for the Les Paul, I'd want more level and less gain, because it's already got more gain because it's higher output. But so bring down the amount and then just bring that up to wherever you want the boost level to be. And then I've got this tube screamer as well, which I would, if I want to kick that in as well, because this adds a bit more mid, I would tend to have the overdrive, because it's coming after that other pedal, overdrive much lower and then the level up a bit higher. The other one which I kicked on in one of the other solos is this SL drive, And I've yet to really get to grips with this with the Les Paul, but I think this is going to sound really good when I do. So that's kind of like a super lead sound, and that sounds great. I've used that with the Van Halen guitars and the 335, and I like the sound of that. But it's more drive than the other ones, so I just need to use that to get used to it. But yes, that's the kind of evolution of the sound. I've kind of been having this one on all the time, kick that in for the boost. I'm going to get used to using that one. There we are. So here's a solo using that setup on this guitar. And I'm going to come on to the final gig here. Now this was with TJ Davis. I've shown myself playing with her before. The last clip and this clip, they're not recorded off the desk. If you've seen my previous videos, I've been doing some reviews on my new desk, which allows me to do multi-track recording on it, but I didn't have it. I wasn't doing the PA on these gigs, so this is just audio again off the camera. But this last gig was the one where I really started to feel comfortable with this guitar, and it was again a combination of using the steel string singer pedal and the blues driver, and that seems to be a really good combination with this, so I can get that kind of little bit of breakup, like it's amp breakup, using the steel string singer, can back it off if I want to clean it up, and then for solos I kick in the blues driver, and that really seems to work. So here's one solo from that. I can't remember the name of the song, but just so you can hear. So it's from the GoPro, actually clipped onto my mic stand. The previous one with the Rude t-shirt, that was off my phone, but this one is off the GoPro. Thank you very much for watching. I hope the video was interesting. This last clip I'm going to show you, this is from the same gig as the last one, and I'd like to thank Glenn. If you're still watching at this point, Glenn, I know he watches my videos, and he came to 3 of my gigs that week, which was very nice of him, and he filmed this one. So if you wonder why there's a super close-up on this guitar, I think he likes this guitar. He sent me a message afterwards saying how nice he thought it sounded, and he was kind enough to send me this clip that he took with his phone. So that's what this clip is to finish it. There's actually 2 solos. I'll cut the middle bit out, not because I don't want you to hear the singing on it, but as I've spoken about on this video before, if you put songs on here, you can get copyright strikes and your videos get taken down. So that's why I only put solos on. I have to be a bit careful about that. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is a version of Heard It Through the Grapevine, the 2 solos I did on this. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. I bring out new videos at 7 PM UK time every Friday, so I hope to see you next week.